Hey, let me read you a quick poem called Ball. Wall ball, box ball, wire ball, step ball, ass ball, half ball, stick ball. These were my friends growing up, and I miss their conversation. I wrote that a number of years ago, and it reflects a big part of my growing up. I grew up in Philly, lived on Dyer Street, had a corner house, had probably 5 steps, a wooden porch, not enclosed, just railing, no chairs on the porch. You could just stand when it was raining. It was just so beautiful, watching the water and the sound and the light. It was a corner house, so the wall that was along the street was probably 25, 30 feet long before there were some windows. And it was a solid wall, 2 stories. The house was 2 stories. For a while there, we lived, my brothers and I had a room in the attic. And the attic had a hatch that had access to the roof, so we could stand on the second floor roof, look at the city, look what was there anyway, the trees and such. Beautiful house. Anyway, probably the important piece of the story is a thing called a pimple ball. I don't know if any of you have any idea what a pimple ball is, but it's a ball, probably, a couple inches, maybe 3 inches in diameter, made out of rubber, and had pimples on it. And it was basically 2 pieces of rubber, somehow molded together. Well, the thing was that in this neighborhood, in this Dyer Street neighborhood, there were the Congelosis, an Italian family with about 25 kids, lived across the street. Chuck, who was a day older than I was, lived 2 doors down. Johnny Flagler lived sort of in the middle of the block. I think he had relatives that owned dog racing tracks in Florida. Next to him was Joe Koenig. And then on the other end, down the end of the block, was Billy Ratz. Anyway, there were lots of kids in this neighborhood, so there was always opportunity to play ball. And certainly during the summers, we would play ball. And we developed, I think, creatively, a number of ways of playing ball. So certainly wall ball, pretty clear. We had a huge wall. There was the street and then across the street. So you could smack that ball against the wall, throw it so that it would arch high in the air. If you caught it, you were out. 3 outs and the sides changed. We had wire ball. Wire ball was good. It required some skill. They're all electric wires, across all around. Had telephone poles all around. So let's see if we can get it back in focus here. There we go. I can't move around so much. Wire ball was throwing the ball up at the wires. If the ball hit the wire and the guy missed catching it, the other guy missed catching it, it was a base hit. You could just throw it. If you didn't hit the wire, nothing happened. That was a foul ball. So that was a wire ball. And sometimes if you threw it really hard and hit it, it would go at odd angles. So it wasn't so easy to catch. Step ball, obviously we had access to steps. So you just throw the ball against the steps and it kind of careens around and goes high in the air. The harder you throw it, the greater the arch. So step ball was good. Box ball. Now box ball required a bat which was typically a broomstick without the broom part. We'd have a pitcher, a couple of basemen, and the corner. The intersection of Dyer Street and Wakeling Street, that was the field. So you had home plate, first, second, third. Pretty straightforward. You had to stop when cars came by. And of course, you had a stick, so you could hit it pretty hard. Now, one difficulty was that on the corner opposite our house was an older German couple, and they didn't particularly like us hitting balls into their porch or bouncing off their roof or whatever. So, step ball was good. Now, half ball, the thing about a pimple ball, and it cost maybe 25 cents, there was a grocery store a block away that kept us a good supply. As long as you had a quarter, 15 cents, whatever, you could get a pimple ball. After you used the pimple ball for a while, it broke. You'd knock the air out of it, it would begin to rip. And of course, you could rip it where the seam was, and that became 2 half balls. Now, a half ball, you could throw it and put a curve to it. So half ball wasn't so hard, it wasn't so easy to hit. So we could play half ball as well as just regular stick ball with a full pimple ball. Probably and excuse my language, but we played ass ball. And ass ball was probably the high point of the balls. What one would do would be, 2 people would play. One guy would be the pitcher. The other guy would have to put his head on the wall, bending over, thus exposing his rear. And, the guy who was pitching it could throw it as hard as he wanted, probably, 15, 20 feet away. Throw it as hard as you want. If you hit the guy, that was good. You only get so many, strikes if you miss. But you could hit them 20 times in a row, and that was fine. And unfortunately, the thing about this kind of ball was that it stung. If you're playing in the summer, you got shorts on. If it smacks your leg, you got a mark on your leg for a couple of days. So it was a game that inflicted some pain. But as I say in the poem, this is how we did our summers. Until of course, we got the front of a dresser drawer, big piece of wood, put a couple of skates underneath it, and began to skateboard down Wakeling Hill. That occupied a lot of our time for a long while. I think we were ahead of the game. So that is my recollection of ball. Great poem, great memories.